Thank you so much for joining us today. And in the studios, it's Brent Bailey, Public Service Commissioner for Mississippi's Central District. How you doing there, Mr. Commissioner?
Doing fine, Mr. Gerard. Thank you so much for having me in on the noon hour here.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you coming in.
Yeah.
We are getting after it today, so give us the latest. I understand that Entergy is going to lower our rates a bit. Is that true? What's up with that?
That is correct. So as part of our what we call our formula rate plan annual review of rates of Entergy Mississippi and all our we conduct an annual review of all utilities. As part of the process, there were a couple of things we were able to identify to move over as part of the rate-based process, as well as take another look at where we are on the fuel adjustment recovery components. As you may recall, last year in 2022, natural gas prices really got very volatile with things going on in Europe, the invasion of Ukraine, domestic production and utilization issues, import-export, a lot of different factors there that really drove the price of natural gas up. Particularly during the month of August, it bumped near $10 a million BTU, one of the highest consumption months of the year for electric power generation. And those costs do flow back to customers, and by law, we have to require and allow to the utilities to recover those costs.
Yeah.
And that flows into calendar year 2023. But we've also seen natural gas prices really come down significantly over the last several months and stabilize. And by the projections of the EIA, it's going to stay below $4. And right now it's just about $2.30-something cents, I believe, a million BTU. And so we were able to take a look at our fuel adjustment rider, what we're allowing for recovery, and bring that down. As you may recall, last year, upon the volatile in pricing, there was a significant under recovery by Entergy on their fuel cost. About this time last year, we also settled a number of legal disputes with Entergy and System Energy Resources to allow about $300 million flow back to the state of Mississippi for Entergy customers in various forms. A large chunk of that went into reducing that under recovery aspect, knocking it down significantly. However, it was still there. We raised the recovery aspect on natural gas prices to eat into that, to really bring it in line so you don't have a lot of fluctuation. And that has been very successful at that point and has been fully implemented over the last few months or earlier part of this year. With natural gas down, we're able to reduce that and return those savings to customers. And what that means is a comparable bill from June 2023 to July 2023 will reduce by about $7 per 1,000 kilowatt hours used, which is, I know, hey, that's really great on a comparable basis, and we're really happy to be able to do that as far as some, not just only adjusting fuel cost recovery, but some other aspects built into the rate schedule. But understanding we are getting into summer as well.
Yeah.
And while we're certainly pleased we can help provide that rate relief, we understand bills are probably going to go up as well because the natural consumption of electricity will go up as temperatures have gone up, and we've already seen a fairly warm June. I'm sure we'll see a warm July. So we also want to remind customers that it's never too late to think about what kind of energy efficiency measures, improvements, or practices, or even behavioral steps that can be implemented to help, take greater advantage of this rate reduction going forward. And so, there's programs out there offered by the utilities, offered by special action agencies, DHS and others. So we encourage folks to take a good look at that and see what they can do, for themselves, whether it's lighting, appliances, changing your filter every 30 days. That's so important to reduce the load on your AC unit, cleaning the coils of your appliances and other things like that. There's just small steps you can take, low-cost, no-cost steps to really help manage your utility bill going forward.
I think a lot of folks sort of use the benchmark of COVID to compare rates and prices of energy, household energy consumption, gas and electricity, of course. Any idea of kind of what it was pre-COVID, the 2019 era, and what it is now? We're below where we were at the peak, right? I mean, natural gas has come down a fair amount since the peak.
Oh, yeah. And natural gas has been a fairly stable priced natural resource, energy resource, the last 10 to 14 years.
Yep.
So we haven't seen a whole lot of volatility just in this last year. Of course, you had some global geopolitical issues that impacted that. But pre-COVID and post-COVID, yes, you saw more people at home. Yes, residential consumption went up slightly. Commercial, industrial came down significantly, but you're starting to see all that even back out. And even somewhat probably see greater levels of consumption in all three customer classes now as economic rejuvenation continues to take place across the nation.
Yeah. Have you seen this House bill passed in Washington that would block federal bans on gas stoves? You know, some states and cities have been passing measures that do, in fact, ban use of gas stoves and new connections, gas connections. Are we at any risk in Mississippi of something like that happening?
Mississippi, if I remember right, we addressed that about 2 legislative cycles ago to sort of create an all the above legislation that does not prohibit that prohibits certain jurisdictional bodies from favoring one energy resource over the other.
Okay.
So we've kind of addressed that.
Okay. Because
I've seen that, and that is something that's discussed and observed. Mississippi, we have programs that encourage rural expansion of natural gas and other energy resources. We have a supplemental growth program to help bring natural gas to industrial parks and other manufacturing centers that may not have that, to make them more competitive in the economic development world. So the PSC and as well as the state level legislature, we're encouraging those additional and competition amongst energy resources.
Okay. Well, this measure, which doesn't have a chance of passing, it passed in the House, and it will not pass in the Senate. Of course, the president wouldn't sign it anyhow. This would not affect laws implemented at the state, enacted at the state level. It just prohibits the federal government from going so far as to issuing a national federal ban that all states would have to comply with. I think
that's going to be a very, very tough hill to climb as far as states' rights and state jurisdictions. And we deal with a lot of that now, and we're seeing some of that in the siting of transmission and generation. How far should the federal government get involved in resource adequacy in generation decisions at the state level, both with the type of generations to be that's proposed and looking at the aspects of affordability, accessibility, what's appropriate, and as well as the siting of transmission. And we are a little nervous about that. How far should the federal government get involved in the siting of energy infrastructure at the state level?
Absolutely. Makes total sense.
I mean, there's certain permitting requirements. We get that, but it's still to this date been the responsibility and the jurisdictional authority of the state to accomplish that.
Yeah.
We should know what's best for our customers.
Are you hearing any sort of feedback from the companies within the state that do supply natural gas services that maybe they're going to hold off on making future investments or making new investments simply because they're concerned about this sort of movement in the country to just reduce, if not totally eliminate?
I mean, certainly stranded assets are always a concern within the electric generation sector due to change in regulation or law or whatever, or technology. But I believe that those providers are looking ahead, how they can use it for other factors if natural gas does become challenged as a fuel, to repurposing for other clean gas resources such as hydrogen. And there's efforts even in Mississippi of certain companies to grow the hydrogen economy here, from the production to storage to utilization, co-firing within natural gas units, as we've seen some investments already in the Southeast to allow that flexibility. So there's a lot of long-term thinking, and you got to do that in the energy sector. These are 30, 40, 50-year assets, and you got to plan on their cost recovery and the use and useful life of those. So these are multi-generational decisions that we make.
It's got to make sense economically for them.
It does.
We got about 30 seconds left. Quickly, what are you looking for out of the legislature this coming year? Anything at the top of the list there?
Oh, I hadn't even thought that far ahead, but that is a conversation we'll soon be having in the PSC. It certainly is. We're finishing up one budget year, fixing to move into another one, and already looking ahead. What do we need to start talking about next year? I wish I had a couple things to throw at you, but
sorry.
You may be aware that the no-call program is transferring from us entirely to the AG's office as a result of this most recent legislation.
That's probably good, honestly.
If we don't look at efficiencies in investigation, pursuit, arrest, and prosecution, you're putting it all under one house.
Gotcha. Brent, appreciate you coming on, man.
Hey, man, thank you so much. I enjoyed it as always.
Brent Bailey, Public Service Commissioner of the Central District, coming right back with more.